Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's May the 30th. Got one more day left in this month, and then we'll be wrapping up another month. Um, there's not as many entries today. It was a little trickier than usual. I got several emails with people having trend lines all over the place, and I wasn't sure exactly where it was on the low end till here. But I was pretty sure this was the right angle because of what happened up here. You can see that, and then you just drag it down. And I was thinking it could have been here, but my second thought was here, and when we bounced right here, uh, that pretty much confirmed it for me. And so I was ready for these two fairly easily. I really like this one anyway, just simply because of the double bottom it created. Uh, so it was a little tricky finding that, but I found it by drawing my line off the top, just like that. And there's a reason prices turn down up here. They don't just run up here and find resistance for no reason and turn down. There's generally some kind of, you know, trend line or resistance, and you can tell it's not really flat because you made a higher high each time. So, you know, that leads you to believe that there's some validity to this line, and then you got to find where it goes. And that was my first option. And then if we'd gone on any lower, I was looking for it down here, but we never got any lower than that. And it's interesting how these things will work out. You know, we were looking for price. This is the overnight close from yesterday. So there was a gap here between the market opened at 8:30 right in here, so there was still a little bit of a gap here, and all this move down is a move to fill that gap before prices went higher. And you can see this line came into play several different times, and we're still going higher. And it looks a little rangy in here, and that's because it is. We really found resistance right here, but we finally worked on through it. And you can see prices are just steadily climbing over here. So I feel real confident in this line that I've got this channel right now. The main thing you got to do is draw these short-term ones. And they're all in here. Every one of them gave a signal. Were pretty much easy to see. You just got to, you got to draw them. And, but don't get carried away. I see other people with just the opposite problem with trend lines. They don't have any idea where the lines are, so they're just looking and they're guessing and they're drawing lines all over the place, and none of them are right. Or they're close, a couple of them, but none of them are exactly right, and they start trying to trade off of them, and then they want to know, well, why did this fail, or why didn't this work, or why did it not bounce this time, or just because there's a line there doesn't mean prices can't shoot through it anyway. The longer you go into a trend, eventually that trend line is going to break. So if you wait too long, you just, if you sit there and watch it all day, what will usually happen is you'll finally convince yourself, okay, my line's right, and it is, but by the time you decide it's right and get in, you're way too late, and all the smart traders are done, and there's no more momentum to carry it any higher or any lower, depending on which way you're going, and you buy at the very high or you sell at the very low, and you're trapped. And so you got to get these lines right. And if you're having trouble with them, and really it's experience. Some days they're real easy to find, and days like today, they're a little more difficult to find. And that's obvious because I got so many messages about, I'm totally confused and as to what's happening today or what kind of day it is. And you probably can see now it's pretty clear, but it's always easier to see after the fact. But once somebody points it out to you, it's always easier to see too. So, but this is what I'm seeing. And every one of these, if you used your trend line rules, it would have kept you on the right side for the most part. And, I don't know what else you can say. The best entries are usually off the trend line. You can see that. So let's talk about the trades, and we'll go from there. But I see this channel working up. It looks like a spike in channel we went into. And at the very least, your first trend line might have been something like that, or you might have even drawn it more like that. But either way, you got the break here, a move to a new high, and then you had your correction before we started working higher again, if you drew it like that. guess what? If you drew it like that, you got the break right here, the move to a new high, and then the correction. Because, I always have to remind people, just because you get a break of a trend line does not mean you're going to get a reversal. The rule says you'll get a correction that lasts at least about an hour. Sometimes you will get a reversal, and sometimes it's immediate. It's immediate, but it just depends on what's going on that day. So no matter how you drew that, you might have even drawn this down here, but guess what? You got a break here, and you're making your moves to your high. So no matter where you drew that line, you still came to the same conclusion. However, I think it's a spike in channel, and we're now in that channel. And this is going to be, what you're going to find is this is probably the halfway mark right here. And you'll see that sometimes. You'll kind of get a double, the lines continues to be work. You just move it up a little bit. And so that's what I'm thinking is you got this little channel, and you can kind of see that working up through there. Across those highs right there. And we may stay within this side, or we may get back through and go to the upper side. You just don't know. So it's important that, it helps to find these, but if you can't find these, you got to, you're better off. Some people get too locked in on the trend lines, and they're guessing, and they're just taking trades, and their lines aren't right, and they're taking trades at the wrong place. A bunch of people tried to get long too early here. Some people tried to get long too early on the way down here. And really what we were doing here, we were coming back to fill this overnight gap. And if you're aware of that and you put your line there, you could have probably said, oh, I guess what? I bet we're going to fill the gap. And, you got to know what prices are doing. And when they were coming back here, I was looking for them to come to this line. And so I wasn't real eager to get long in here, even though it looked like it was going to go higher. But guess what? This is just, if you draw this little temporary channel, you finally see the break, the new high. And guess what? We come back down and test this again. Even if you didn't have that line there, look at those lows right there. And look at this big reversal bar. And this is one of those kind where you want to, it's getting close to the EMA, so you want to use a limit order. And that's what I did. I dropped it back about halfway into that bar, and it came back just enough to fill me. And then boom, it was. And then you had a failed second entry short right there. And even though you're close to that high, that's worth taking. And I had a limit order right there, and it bounced off of it a dozen times, wouldn't get filled, so I moved it up and then got filled, and then right as that got filled, it took off. And it took a few minutes to work on through there, but it was an easy trade. You can't hardly dismiss those traps like that, especially when you're expecting prices to move higher again. But let's talk about the trades. When I got in, this was the first setup I saw, and I didn't really like going short until we had this little breakout pullback, and it was, again, right off what I thought was probably the trend line down through there, and I should have drawn this one in green, but you can see there's a two-legged correction right there, and we've already had one leg down, so I really thought we were going to come back and test this area right here. I really thought we might come all the way back and try to take the stops from these moves down here, but all we were really doing, prices, my assumption was prices were at least trying to fill the gap. And guess what? It made a double bottom and a big reversal bar right off that gap. And, once it broke higher here, you drop it. It actually closed on its high and opened on its high. So one of those, you had to be fast to get your stop, but I even had time to put a limit order in there, and it ticked back to fill me. And it wasn't long, and it was off to the races. And any runners were safe here. This was an easy trade, and you could have ridden this all the way up. I wasn't sure exactly where the line was at that point because this wasn't in place. So what I was doing was looking for a measured move. That was my other clue. Hey, let's look for a measured move. So I was looking for prices to go to here. And I really didn't see any good entries on the way up. There were no traps up through there. It just took off. It was too quick. And you didn't really want to enter here. And then I was thinking, hey, we may be bouncing off the line here. But when we got up here and I drew that, then you could see it was holding prices. And I drew this one in green. Notice that there's a failed second entry short right there. And this is one of those, when it broke higher, I dropped a limit order back down in here, and it pulled back, and at that time it touched the EMA exactly and shot straight back up. Quick, easy fill, didn't get anything more than a scalp, and then we turned down. So I drew that one in green because it's risky after a move like that, but I was looking for prices. I really thought prices were going to shoot a little bit higher up here to where our measured move was. Again, there's where I was looking for, and you can see we didn't quite get there. We have now, close anyway. So, but I thought it was worth taking if you could sneak in down further down in here, because I felt for sure that prices would probably break higher. So, okay, sorry, I had a little interruption there, but anyway, that one I drew in green because there's a lot of overlap there. We're at a very high point, but 2 tries back to the EMA that failed, triple bottom. I felt it was worth the risk if you got in at the right place. You don't want to be going long up here at the high. You had to get in down here, and you can see you could easily do that on this trade. I mean, it really scared me when it fell that fast and filled my order and then broke 1 tick lower. But as soon as it did, it opened and turned straight up, and I was in and out faster than you could blink an eye. So worked out great, and since I took it and it did work, I went ahead and marked it because I know I'll probably get questions about it. But it's really risky, a lot of overlap there. You really, I really, looking back on it, I think I was taking a big risk there, and I probably got lucky to get out on that trade. I drew this one in green as well. It's 2 legs down, but we really hadn't had a trend line break. To be honest, the reason I liked it was that I originally drew my line like that, and we did have a break and a new low, but later on I got to looking, and that didn't really fit the bottom. The bottom was kind of coming across here, and so I misread that one. But it's a second entry long. There is room to get out before you get back to the high, and it's one of those that worked out. And second entries rarely fail. But looking back on it, that one was risky too, so I drew it in green. But I wanted to point it out because I took it, and if I saw it, maybe some of you others saw it. I didn't think it was worth it. Once that happened, I really kind of decided then, hey, the trend line is down here, because look at all these bounces down through here off this low, and the upper line should be matching. So I moved it up, and you can see we didn't get a break until here, and then we made a double bottom, and that's 2 tries to go lower here that failed in a nice reversal bar. But again, this is one of those, there's a little bit of overlap, so I felt the only way you could get in this one was a limit order. It would have worked either way, but I used a limit order and dropped it in here, and it did pull back. It pulled all the way back again. It scared me for a minute, but it took on off. But after that, I just didn't like any other entries because, hey, we're not back to our trend line yet. We hadn't made a new high yet, but we're not back to what I'm suspecting is the real trend line down here. So I just didn't like any of these entries. You might have thought about entering here, but it's still not it's a first entry. And by the time the second entry came, you're trying to enter here, and you had these highs across there, which was a retest of that. And you can see what happened. We ended up turning back down and coming back to what I suspected was a trend line. But even if you didn't have that, you got a double bottom here, and that's another retest of that. And look at that bullish bar right there. I even considered entering above this bar, but I said, you know what? This line might be down here, and if it is, I'll be a little bit early, so I'm going to wait on a better bar. And I'm glad I did, because it worked out the same. I was still able to get in at the same place. When it broke higher, I dropped my limit order in here. I think I got 1 tick. Actually, I was scared to bring it all the way back. So, and if I had I wouldn't have got filled. So I had mine 1 tick into it. It backed up, filled me pretty quick, and then it was taken off again. And I already talked about this one. Even though you were back up here at these highs, there's a trap right there. And now I had a confirmation of my trend line, so I'm thinking, hey, we're going on higher. I really thought we'd probably go on up to here. But there's a trap there, a nice reversal bar. You go long above that. If you tried to use a limit order here, you didn't get filled. At first, I did use a limit order, and it bounced a few times, so I just pulled it on up, and it pulled back and got me. And it scared me when it got to those highs right across there, because it took it a minute to get on through, but it pushed on through pretty quickly. Another easy trade. No runners here, though. You did get some runners here, and again, we talked about the runners down here. No runners here either, but you did get some here. And then we got a chance to enter here. Really, the way I originally drew that one, you could have entered above the red bar or the green one. And and the reason I like the red one, because it's a little trap. It's a second entry long. So you might have entered above it, but if not, when this one broke higher, I would have dropped a limit order in there, and you see it came back and filled it, and then we took off again. If you didn't enter here, or even if you did, you might have wanted to add on here. Again, you could have entered above that red bar because that's the signal bar, but it was better to wait on this bar. And you can see the smart traders coming to play in here. Notice how this bar broke higher and then came back, and that's what happened. They waiting on a better signal bar, and then they drop their, they use a limit order, and it pulls back, and off it goes again. And depending on how you entered this one, you should have had some runners on this, and they're still going unless you've exited yet. And that was it. There's actually another trade here that you might have considered. This is just a breakout pullback long. It's a first entry. There is a little bit of a trap there. Because it broke below that little bar first and turned up. It's not a great trap. I usually like for those to go back out the other side, and it didn't. But if you were still trading, that you might have considered taking that one, because it is 2 tries. Notice that 2 tries to retest this resistance across here, and it held and reversed, and so it was worth taking. And another easy trade, so I'll go ahead and circle that one too. So another trade right there. And that's what I saw for today. And there are some other entries in here, but for the reasons I just talked about, I didn't like them, or I just didn't like the setup. I didn't think it was worth taking for whatever reason. I don't see anything else up through here till here. And then this one, again, that's a first entry. It's a breakout pullback long. They're probably the least reliable. But, one thing you're looking at is you got this first leg up here, and you're probably looking for a target of that. So that's putting prices on up here, and we weren't quite there yet. We're still not there, so I think we're probably, and this thing, we could go all the way to the other side of this channel before it's over. It's getting late in the day, so I don't know if we'll make it, but you got to follow the price action. And so always draw your short-term trend lines. And here's another reason to like that trade. Right there, notice that we broke. You got that trend line working up. Let's just see if it fits on the other side. This is how I do it. And you can see that fits really well on the other side. So we got a valid trend line here, and we've had no break of it yet. So if this turns up, that's going to be 2 tries to go lower again. Second entry long, probably another good place to go long. We just have to wait and see what happens there. Don't try. You can't enter until, that's what I'll get emails from people, and they'll ask me why a trade failed. And what happened is they entered early. They didn't wait on the bar to complete. It looks like it's going higher here, but right before this thing closes, it could shoot down here and close way down here bearish. And so don't try to sneak in early, because you will not be very successful. You'll get fooled more times than you'll get it right. But my guess is we're going to go higher here. We'll just have to wait and see. So always draw these little short-term trend lines. They'll help keep you on the right side. And, if you're not seeing these, guess what? It takes a little time. It takes a little. This is not something you can pick up in a week or two, or even in a couple of months. Sometimes it takes time, and you got to learn and practice it. And with time and experience, it gets easier. And you can see that's starting to look bearish again. Closes a doji. So if the second entry triggers, it's going to trigger at the same place it did originally. I still think we'll go higher here. I don't know. It could tick up, trap people, and come on down and make another leg down, but I'm guessing we go higher right there. The trend is up. You got to be careful taking any shorts. That's why there's some other shorts in here that you don't see marked, because they're too risky. Today's a trend day to the upside. And so we're looking for reasons to get long until this trend is over. And I don't see any reason to stop looking for longs yet. Look at that EMA. That's a good clue. It's starting to point up again. It was kind of flat right in here, but now it's starting to point up. And there, that second entry just triggered right there. And hopefully you can see that one leg back, pull a correction, then a second leg back. So that's a two-legged correction back to the EMA, and now prices are trying to go higher, and there it goes. So my guess is we're going to keep working higher here at least until we get a little break here, and we could turn back down and go ahead and break it and then go higher. You just never know. So, but I like that setup right there. I probably would use a limit order here, and it's giving you a chance to get in coming back. So, but that's what I saw today. If you didn't see that, you just need to keep working on it, keep practicing. It takes experience, and it doesn't come overnight. But I got thousands and thousands of hours just looking at this, so obviously for me, you know, I've got a little more experience in how to find the lines, and just like I showed you, you don't even have to get it exactly right. You know, I guarantee you there's multiple people that saw this different ways. Some people saw this is the trend line. Some people probably saw that. Some people might have seen that. And I bet you some saw that because you could see we were climbing up that right there. And then even if you were using that, there's your break, and now you're working on two legs up. So there's different ways to get to the same place. But generally, the way I tell people is that your price action should fit, and it should fit neatly. And you can see that fits pretty well right there. So I'm guessing a lot of people saw that as the trend, and that might very well be it. But this was the more recent price action here, and so that was the one I liked. You know, I was looking at this earlier one, but I like this one better, and I still think it's the right one because you can see we confirmed it 1, 2, 3 more times there. So, you know, just don't. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I see it happening with people. They're getting too hung up. They send me their chart and they got lines. You know, these people have got this trend line, this trend line. Oops. This one. This one. And I mean, you know, when you start putting all these lines, look at that. You can't make heads or tails of that. And every one of them looks semi-valid, and that's because every one of them somebody else probably sees. You know, some people see it that way. So, but there's going to be a way to usually get to the same place twice. And that brings up a point. I've been meaning to bring that up. People always ask me, well, what if you see this moving down, but you got your big channel and you got this one moving down? Which one takes precedence, or how do you know which one to pay attention to? Well, anytime you get more than one reason to enter a trade, that just makes it more valid and gives it more strength and a better, and all the more reason to enter it. So as an example, right here, there's multiple reasons. This is us 2 legs back. I'm going to show you all the reasons. There's one leg down. There's your second. So you got a perfect 2-leg measured move. So it's a second entry long. There's strong support from a double bottom here. There's a possible trend line here. You had this trend line break and a move to a new low. There's so many reasons to take that trade long right there, and every one of them adds up, and you can see what a good move that was. Same thing right here. You know, prices are moving down, but you got a break of the trend line. Okay, sorry I got interrupted again, but I think we were talking about this. You got your trend line working down. You got a break. You got to move to a new low. You can't really see it right there, but there's a little double bottom trap. Notice that we went higher, and then we turned lower. It's 2 bounces off of the overnight close. You got a huge reversal bar. I won't say huge, but a nice reversal bar off a trap. You already kind of had a double bottom, and then you made a smaller double bottom. So there's several reasons to be thinking long there. And in the big picture, you can count that as a second entry long too, because the double top you can count either way. So here's a new high, Actually, there was a little break there, but on a bigger picture, that's going to be your first entry, and that's going to be your second entry. So on a bigger picture, it's a second entry long as well. So several different reasons to enter there. So if you can get more than one reason to enter, and you can see this trade is still going higher. If you used the limit order, which I showed you it gave you, you could have been at 59. Yeah, you'd already be out of it. Even if you'd entered with a stop, you would have already been out. So easy trade. You know, we'll go ahead and circle that one too, I guess, since we were talking about it. But hopefully you see how that two legs back, plus I got a little temporary trend line working up through there. You know, there's multiple reasons to enter that. It's a second entry long. It's two legs back to an EMA, a short-term trend line. The trend is up. You know, so I guess to answer that question for the people that have asked it several times, I've answered them in the email, but I'm sure there's people that have been asking themselves that. If you can find more than one reason to enter the trade, that just strengthens your reasons for entering. And another thing, going back to you know, don't get too hung up on the trend lines. They're important because they give you the best setups. But if you're having a hard time finding them, don't get so hung up on trend lines that you lose sight of what the price action is doing. Notice what's happening all the way up here. Can you see it? Prices are making higher highs and higher lows every time. That's an uptrend, so don't be going short on that. Same thing right here. It's smaller. Look at the big picture. Higher highs, that's a higher low than these lows. Higher highs, higher lows. There's a little bit lower high there, but we couldn't make really a lower low. That's just a trap. Higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low. So the trend is up. And so there's other ways, and if nothing else, try to capitalize off these short-term trend lines because they help keep you on the, they help you know when the correction or the move is over. It's hard to determine coming down here when this is going to be over until you get a break, and then you made this double bottom, but then you made a higher high and a higher low. And so even though I don't like any setups there, if you'd have went long, you'd have been fine because you were following the moves. And then you come back down, you test this, and look at that little trap. Notice there's the lows. You got that one tick in there. It's hard to see it. One tick. So that was another reason to like that trade, even though it's second entry long, a one tick trap, a triple bottom, a double bottom on a bigger picture. Many reasons to be thinking it's kind of a range right there. It's the low of the range, chance to get in with a little bitty stop. The trend line moving up, you can see that right there, although I moved that a little bit the wrong way. All kind of reasons to be thinking long right there. And so hopefully that makes sense to you. And again, it's experience and practice. It's, you know, this stuff doesn't come overnight. It's not easy. But once you figure it out, it's really not that hard. It just takes experience. Just like learning to type or talk or walk or run or anything we do in life, you don't just pick it up and do it instantly. Some people do it quicker than others. Some people do it better than others. But nobody, you know, most people can learn it. It just takes them longer than it does other people. So, but nobody learns this very quickly. Nobody that I know of anyway. So hang in there. Don't let bad days or mistakes get you down. The key is not to get too eager, and I say this all the time, and people always think they're going to be different. Don't be so eager to trade live, because if you don't have a lot of experience, the odds are strongly, strongly against you, and you're probably just going to donate your money to somebody else. And, you know, no matter how many times I say that, somebody will send me an email talking about how bad a day they had and how good they had been doing, and then suddenly they can't get one right. And you know, there's several of you who sent me that email lately, so don't think I'm talking about you. I'm talking about multiple people that tell me that, and I always tell them, so you're not ready. When you think you're ready, maybe you're getting close, but you're still not ready, because even though you got to get to where it's simple on the simulator, because then you know, you understand price action, you can read the chart, but you still have one more step, and that's to get over the mental hurdles that will come even though it's easy on the simulator, you're still going to struggle a little bit when you go live. So just go live, just trading singles and scalp out singles. And, you know, that way if you're wrong, you don't lose a lot of money. You're not going to make a lot of money. But the key is not to lose money in the beginning. That's what hurts you. It doesn't hurt you if you don't make any money, unless you need it to survive on. If you do, then that makes it even harder. But it's not going to hurt you if you don't really make money. It's going to hurt you when you lose your money. So the key is to be good enough to at least not lose a lot of money. And so only trade with singles, and, you know, keep it small, use your stops. And people keep asking me about where the stops are. Every one of these trades, the stop is below the signal bar. Here's your signal bar. That's the little low swing right there. So your stop goes 1 or 2 ticks below that right here. Even if you entered on this bar, this is your signal bar, the low of the swing. So your stop goes 1 or 2 ticks below it. Here it'd be below this bar. Let me make this a little bigger. On this one, this is your signal bar. Here, this is your low bar, your signal bar. Here's your low bar here, your signal bar. If you're coming off the top, that would have been your signal bar right there. That one there. Here. 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 So your stop goes above those places. You use the price action to help protect your stop, because if prices, just like right here, if you got short right there, if prices go higher than that, something's wrong. That's not a good sign. That means prices are still working higher, and guess what? We went 2 more swings higher, and we may go higher yet because we still don't have a break of this trend line. Down here, this would have been your signal bar, or this one, either one, same thing. 1 or 2 stops. If you went long here, here's a nice, somebody asked me about this setup, and I think they went long here. There's no reason to go long right there, but guess what? When this pulled back and made a failed second entry short and turned up and closed high, that's a second entry long. That's a great entry, and look at that move, boom. That's why we teach what we teach about the traps and the second entries, because now look at that move. That's the one you're waiting on. This would have been your signal bar, but even here, I probably would have kept my stop below this bar. That's the safer one, but at the very least, it's got to go below that bar. So, okay, sorry I had an interruption, but I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'm just on my soapbox today, and you can see the trend line still coming into play there. Will we go higher? I don't know, but there's no reason to be going short yet. Anybody that went short right there looks like they may be trapped now. And that's why I'm telling you, you got to follow the rules. You got to know how to read this stuff. Just watching that to see what it's going to do. But we still hadn't got a close outside that bar yet, that line. But anyway, I'm not going to hang around for that. That's meaningless at this point. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.